Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Pastor Jay. You know me. I'm the ball dude that come on here and talk to you about relationships, and the takeaway is designed to deal with relationships in our life as well as a relationship with ourselves. Today we have this amazing mental health professional by the name of Lakeitra Chick,
Yes.
like chicken, like Chick-fil-A, right? And we have been connecting and we have been talking and we got some good stuff planned for you today. Say hi to the people.
Hi, people. How are you?
So we're here at the Takeaway Podcast and we jump right in with both feet and tell us a little bit about yourself and
Well,
the work that you do.
Okay, like you said, my name is Lakeitra Chick. I am a clinical social worker here in Brevard County since 2018. So I've been doing social work for 10 years, clinical social work for 8 years.
Can you break that down, how you told it to me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So social work, just because you work with kids doesn't make you a social worker, because there was some distinction with that. So that's anyone who has a degree, a bachelor's, a master's or a bachelor's in social work. So once you get your bachelor's or your master's in social work, you are a social worker. The clinical social work is the master's part. So that's more of the mental health side. So the social worker does all the things people think about with child welfare and getting housing and food and all different resources. Clinical social worker does more of the mental health side. So I've been doing that part of the 10-year social work. That was 8 years, the clinical social work part. Okay. Here in Brevard County, I have experience in child welfare, have worked in various different settings, in the home, in the community, in the schools, in hospitals, pretty much any place where there are people who have a need, I've been there. So mental health and child welfare are my main experience with.
I think I didn't ask you, but I want to ask you, like, so why did you choose that field? Like, what?
I always say it chose me.
Okay.
Because
you didn't choose mental health; it chose you.
I did not. So
Okay.
I originally, my major at UCF was nursing.
Okay.
Because I feel like in 2008, everybody was talking about going into nursing because it was like, they make a lot of money going to nursing, you know. That was the only thing. I don't like blood. I don't like science.
Okay.
How I was gonna be a nurse.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna work.
Not liking blood, like the sight of blood, and I'm just like, I can't. I gotta step out. Like it wasn't going together. Like I don't know how I was gonna be a nurse with that, but okay. Got into doing like my general education classes and stuff. It was failing. Like the first time ever in my life, I'm like, I don't fail classes. Like what is happening?
What's going on?
So I had a friend. Her name is Lindsay. She was a social work major.
Lindsay.
Hi, yes, hey Lindsay. She was a social work major, and I was just talking to her about all the things that I wanted to do. Like I want to help people. Like there are other ways to help people besides nursing.
Yeah.
So I was talking to her about like my dream life and what I want to do, and she was like, it sounds like social work. So I kind of like researched it, talked to her more. Applied to the program, got in, and like every class I was like, this is what I've been talking the whole time. This is what I've been talking about. So I feel like social work shows me, and then my first, I call big girl job out of graduating was in Cincinnati. It was an agency that they said they got the worst of the worst. So like kids that had been through every mental health service, the last stop was us. So that was like my introduction into it. But those kids had severe mental health. So I was just like, I just want to work with kids. They're like, yeah, here are some kids. They also have severe mental health. But those are kids. That's what you want to do, right? So go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
But that was like boot camp. Like I definitely learned a lot, and a lot of who I am today is because of that job. Like it was, when you say the worst of the worst kids, whatever that means, the most intense. We got them. I saw them. I did well with them. Apparently everyone was like, you're doing so well with them. They would ask for me. And I was like, oh, I guess this is a thing that I could really delve into. And then I went to grad school for the mental health side. And it's been that ever since.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I value the work that you guys
Thank you.
do. It's needed. It's necessary. I think that for me to be the best in whatever capacity whatever hat I have on that day, I have to be have a good relationship with myself. Like I gotta like me.
Yes.
Right.
If nobody else,
and
you do.
I'm gonna have a hard time liking you, helping you, supporting you when I don't like me.
Right.
And so I think building a healthy relationship with yourself, I like to call it self-love or whatever. Like, there are things I do for me.
Yes.
You know, I think we laughed about it either on air or off. I talked about the gym because I think it's one of the few things I do every day for myself. It's, because I'm always others, but it's something I do for myself every day, to invest in myself. Like, what does that mean to you?
Self-love or just doing things for yourself.
Having a healthy relationship with yourself, self-love.
Yeah, so like when you think about the word relationship, that's just the state in which two things are connected, right? So like being connected to yourself, like when you're in a relationship with somebody, like you know them, you're in tune with them, you can kind of try to anticipate their needs, like you really know them really well. So I feel like when you talk about self-love or having a good relationship with yourself, it's knowing yourself really well, accepting all the parts of yourself, including the flaws, like that is what makes you, So accepting yourself, knowing yourself, and being able to like listen and attune to like listen to your gut, listen to yourself, like those things. That's what it really means to like know yourself.
So why do you think we overlook ourselves or what? I mean, like, why do you think we forget about ourselves and we think we just, why do we do that?
There's this little bit of, I don't know if it's false humility or what, but this idea of like, I'm gonna like, oh no, I don't matter. No, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about other people. I just want to use all of my time and energy to serve others. Like it's, about other people. And people feel selfish talking about, but what do I want? But it's like, that is important. Yes. What do you want? Even in sessions when I ask, like, what do you want? Well, I don't want to be a burden to anybody, or I don't want to like make too much noise. And I'm like, what do you want? That matters. And it's because there are probably things in society that kind of tell us that like you need to put yourself second, and there are even like kind of positions in life where that's the whole thing. Motherhood is one of those things that's an area of a population that I focus on, because motherhood does make it hard for people to like put themselves first, because the whole job is putting yourself second after this little person who's dependent on you. Like you will like get lost in that. But people like don't want to be a burden to people, and they want to just give and give and give. And they are just like, I'm not going to worry about myself. I don't want to be selfish. That's the main thing that I've heard is I don't want to be selfish.
I had a buddy, or some buddies, actually some board members of my separate nonprofit. that I was going through the budget for, you know, we do summer stuff. Mm-hmm. This was years ago. And they said, yeah, Jarvis, see the budget. Why aren't you in the budget? I said, oh, man, you know, no. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you in the budget? Yeah. We don't see your name in the budget. And I think we live lives, we join organizations, we do stuff, and we just leave ourselves out. Mm-hmm. And it can happen in a marriage. I just celebrated 25 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations to me.
Yes.
Pray for her. No. no. We love each other. But there have been times in our marriage where we just, you know, wasn't taking care of ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So it don't matter what you did for the other person.
Yeah.
You know, it's this frame, this thing I see in my head because I deal with relationships and I deal with people, and it's this thing I see in my head where, you know, this mental health muscle, mm-hmm. right? This mental muscle, this emotional, would you call it emotional muscle?
Yes.
This emotional muscle needs to be worked on and developed, mm-hmm. just like every other part of our life, right? Mm-hmm. Like so we have to eat, yep. You know, we have to, you know, work out, we have to do things, you know, I'm a pastor, maybe people on here that's not Christians, that's cool, stay on here, mm-hmm. you know, but you know, like it's so many hampers and so many baskets and so many but I mean that's a major part.
It's huge. Like that your mind, like everything flows from that, right? Yeah. Like we have this, we call a CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy triangle, mm-hmm. basically that just says From your thoughts come your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior. So like everything you do starts with a thought. If that's neglected, everything you do, the way you navigate life, the way you talk to people, the way you feel about yourself, everything is going to go downhill. It's all with your thought. Like, your mind is something where it's like your health is your wealth. So like your mind and your heart, those are the two things where if those aren't working, like nothing else really will. And so when people don't take care of that, you don't be surprised if that everything else is going to also go downhill, because the mind and the body are connected. And so I feel like that's a newer thing that people are starting to figure out. So like the medical profession, no one until probably the pandemic started including therapists or mental health professionals as a part of the medical field.
Yeah.
Even though we are, like you have doctors, nurses, no one was including clinical social workers and therapists. But your mind is your brain, that's a part of your body, and that needs attention just as much as everything else. And so now there's this, I feel like, conversations around like medical professionals, let's include mental health professionals.
Yeah. So I'm a pastor in the neighborhood. I'm black. I don't just pastor black people. I pastor whoever come through the door that let me, right? However, there is this I think stigma in the black community about mental health. I think the stigma isn't as bad as it was, but I think the search is hard.
Yes.
Especially in Brevard County. I think sometimes the search, the finding out who, not just who does it, but who's safe.
Right, for me.
You know what I'm saying? You can't eat everybody potato salad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For y'all, but for me, who would be?
Yeah. Did anybody taste the potato salad? Like, I'm at the cookout right now.
Who made it?
Like,
That was the first question.
Who made the potato salad?
I see that it's here and it's available, but
who made the potato salad?
Yeah, who did it
So
come
I
from?
think we got a potato salad issue when it comes to mental health. We don't know.
No, all kitchens are created equal.
Everybody can't cook. So we don't know who to trust, right? That's crazy. Well, I can't say crazy, but that's whack. That's crazy.
Yes, it is. Especially for our community, we already have some mistrust.
Yeah.
Systems. So not just like medical, school, legal, the criminal. Like we
got some stuff.
Yes.
Behind the stuff before we get to the stuff.
Understandably so.
So it's like, you ain't even got to look like me, but I got to know you rock with me.
Right.
Like this ain't even color. Like I got to understand that you going to understand what I'm saying.
Right.
And not sit across the table and judge me. You get
Judgment
what I'm saying?
is, I think, what keeps people from reaching out. Like some of the stigma, there is judgment around it. Like even I try to be careful about using these words like crazy, because people don't, that's like one of the words that I don't want to be called crazy. Don't call me, don't call me crazy. When it's like, you just need to talk to somebody, but it's okay. But hearing that like, you need to go talk to a therapist, you must be.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, like, is something wrong with you? Like,
they like, is it that bad?
There's already this like air of like, okay, you need to kind of stay away from you. You're an unsafe person, or your life is not together, or like no one's life is together. Everybody is just in survival mode.
The unsafe person, like go back to that part, because I think that's part of the deal with therapy is it safe, right? Does that make me unsafe? Because and it doesn't, right? I recently, maybe last few months, talked to somebody very close to me. They look up to me or whatever. They don't live here, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna reach out to find someone here that you could talk to. He was like, you think it's that bad?
That bad.
I was like, I think that these people that you're responsible for are important enough for you to invest in yourself mentally to be the best for them. Do you agree?
Right.
Right? And he was like, when you put it like that. But the first thing he said was, you think is it that bad? Yeah,
and you doing that normalizes it for them. And the more that people openly talk about being in therapy, because right now it's kind of a secretive thing. People don't go out. I mean, I think like millennials and Gen Z, kind of like the hip thing now is to be like, yeah, my therapist told me. That's kind of the thing that we talk about.
Yeah.
But with other generations, it's kind
like
of
old people like me with gray in their beard.
Not
okay.
Before.
Okay.
That generation is kind of like a hush, like, don't tell anybody that you're seeing somebody, because of the way that it's portrayed. I feel like in TV and movies, the way it's like, you're going to see somebody, like you're going to see a shrink, or like
Yeah.
you're crazy and that
Yeah.
makes you unstable and your life is really bad if you're going to see a therapist. But people go to therapy, not when they feel like their life is falling apart or there's a crisis. Sometimes you just need another perspective on like, hey, this is what's going on. I need another perspective. People go to premarital counseling. Like they haven't even gotten married yet, but they're in counseling. So it's like nothing has even happened yet, but this would be a good idea just like going in.
Yeah.
So this idea that like if you're going to see somebody it's really bad and you need help and you're unstable and you don't have control of your life that's what makes people be like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I don't want to versus hey, come over, let's just talk. Like let's just go on the porch and just talk.
Yeah.
I'm doing therapy. But yeah, let's just talk.
Yeah, so I came from that what happened in my house stays in my house.
Yes.
Type deal. And that's probably why I was messed up as I was. But so
Redemption is a thing.
I should have talked to somebody. Right.
Probably.
Why we didn't talk to nobody?
Probably.
We should have been talking to people. And this ain't normal.
I've had clients say that when they're in therapy and they think back, they kind of say like, man, I wish I had had this when I was a kid. Or like, this is probably something that my parents needed. Like, why wasn't this available? It was. We wasn't. I mean, there was a time when it was like a white people thing.
Yeah.
Like going to therapy was a white people thing.
Yeah.
We weren't
Or rich
really,
people.
Or rich people.
Yeah,
Yes, we weren't really engaging in it, but I will have clients say that like, if I was 7 and I had just had this same conversation, like I would have been good. But now I'm like, in my 30s trying to figure this out now. You probably did just need someone to talk to.
Where do we start?
With building a good relationship with yourself. I always like to start with self-compassion, which is along the lines of self-love. So self-compassion, the way that I introduce that to people is I say, well, like compassion is just having empathy with people. Having that with yourself is important. So, if a 5-year-old drops a glass, like I said, it's a cup and it's a glass, and they start saying, oh, this is horrible. I'm so bad. I can't do anything right. You would kind of look at that 5-year-old like, hey,
Come on,
it's
you
okay.
5.
Yeah, like it's okay.
Glass is gonna break.
You didn't mean it. Somewhere along the line, I don't know what age it is, but somewhere along the line in life, we stop talking to ourselves that way. It doesn't have to be the same tone. Like, oh,
that's good. If you was in church, I'd be like, amen. Look, you'll get the finger. If I was in church, I like.
We don't have to use the same tone, like the same babyish, like, oh, it's okay. But the words still need to be the same. Humans are fragile. Yeah. I don't know why we decide at some age, oh, you can handle it. Like, you need to hear the truth. But you still need to
beat yourself up.
Yeah, like, why is it okay for anybody of any age? Like, so the way that we talk to children, adults need to be talked to in the same way. Like I said, the tone doesn't have to be teeny bopper in Disney, but it needs to still be kind words because humans and the human mind is fragile. Like,
so we need to talk to ourselves.
Yes, talk to yourself kindly.
Talk to myself
in a kind
kindly.
way.
Give myself a pass.
If you talk to yourself,
stop calling myself names.
Yes, you wouldn't talk to your friend that way. You wouldn't talk to your spouse that way. Don't talk to yourself that way either.
That's good.
Because your mind, the way that it works, you can rewire your brain. So when you hear people say they believe their own lies, yes, they do because they've said it to themselves enough. They've rewired their brain to where now their brain processes that as the truth. So if you're saying sarcastic things to yourself, which the brain has a hard time processing sarcasm because it's like, is there truth in this or not? So to be careful with sarcasm too. But the way that you think about yourself, that is how you live your entire life. And there's always projection that's happening, when people are, insecure and they feel like, well, everyone else feels that way about me. No, you feel that way. We didn't actually think that at all, but there's then projection that happens. So one way is self-compassion. Being compassionate with yourself, giving yourself some grace. You are doing better than you think you are. Anybody else in your situation would have folded by now. You are doing well. Everyone's struggling. You're just in survival mode. We just came out of a pandemic. Yeah. Saying like those gentle things to yourself.
If I could do that for myself, then I could be more compassionate for other people, right?
Yes.
I don't have to be a chameleon and change.
Right. Yes, because it's already there.
It's already there.
And when you come across people who are going to try and tell you the opposite of that, it'll be harder for them to convince you otherwise. Like your worth. You're going to come across people who are on their own journey of self-love. They maybe are not there yet. But if someone tries to berate you and say like you are this, and that, it's going to be harder for you to convince yourself of that because you're like, no, I know my worth already. Like, you can't convince me. I'm not going to be able to be shaken.
Self-compassion.
Self-compassion is one thing. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. Self-compassion. It's a big one. Everybody, no matter what I start with a client, I'm putting some self-compassion in there because
You got to slide it
it's
in
the
the door.
foundation of
Even if you
everybody.
got to slide it up under the door.
It's gonna be there.
Okay.
That one
Okay.
and exploring your strengths is another one that I feel like helps have you have a good relationship with yourself. Um, People have a hard time with that. Like, what are your strengths? What are things you do well or good parts about your personality? That's a really hard question for people. They don't easily. They're like,
People just don't think that.
like about me. Like, what am I good at? I don't really. They don't really know.
Okay.
But so knowing what you're good at, what's equally as important is knowing what you're not good at because it helps you to kind of like know, okay,
Yeah, I don't do that.
these things I don't, then I know what I do well at. So it's kind of like with the self compassion, knowing your strengths just helps build your self esteem. So people who know what their strengths are, studies have shown they are happier, they have better self esteem, and they're more likely to accomplish their goals.
How do you help somebody discover and identify their strengths? How do you do that?
So I will just ask them like, what are good parts about your personality, or what are things you do well. If they're struggling with that, I will say, tell me somebody that inspires you, that you've like seen on TV, or it could be a character or somebody in your life, someone that's inspiring. What do you like about them? What are some good things about them? And that kind of will get like, oh, they're caring, they're this, they're that. It'll help them to start to be like, okay, well, I'm caring too. Yeah. Even that, it's hard because it sounds like bragging. People like want to be humble. Like, no, it's not. And I'm like, we're not bragging. We're just simply stating facts. We're just talking about what is. So usually helping people to strength spot, we call it, in other people will help them to like turn it back on themselves.
Good.
Yes.
Good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So self-compassion, identifying your strengths. I guess when people identify their strength, then they start leaning more towards that, right? Like,
yes, because you start to see it play out in your everyday life, or you find ways that you can, lean into that. People need to feel good about themselves, so just playing to your strength. That's why I said knowing what you don't do well is also good, because stay away from that.
Starve my weakness.
Nobody wants to spend time doing
my weaknesses.
Yeah, no one wants to spend time doing things they're not good at. It just doesn't help your self-esteem. Like, that's fine. Everyone's not good at everything. We all have separate gifts and talents.
And that's so good
and
to not
fine.
be good at. It's so good to not be good at stuff.
You can't be good at everything.
No,
you cannot be good at everything, and that's fine.
Like one or two things, if that. Like
listen, those are your things. Stick to that. So
stick to your things. Did you hear that? Stick to your things.
Stick to them.
Stick to your things.
Yes.
Yeah, stick to that.
Yours specifically.
Your specific deal. So those two are kind of packed.
Yeah.
They kind of loaded.
It's a lot. Yeah, it could
It's
get
a lot in there.
It could get difficult too, because there are things like trauma that make it difficult for people to be able to. I feel like discover who their true selves are. So there's like the you when you were born and who you were destined to be, and then there was the you that had to adapt and change to survive because of a trauma that happens. So there's a lot of people who are walking around with these identities that I'll say, okay, so let's take this trauma out of your life. Would you still be that person?
Would you? Yeah.
They're like, no. So then who are you then? Okay. Are you like this person, or are you this trauma?
Is the answer both? Is the answer both?
Like nature versus nurture thing. Like, would I still be that person? You may, but not to that extent. So like I'll say the tools that you needed then to survive, like you don't need those tools now. But people are still carrying over those like survival tools.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to be like, I'm just I'm a really independent person. I just really am. We'll talk about their childhood and be like, was there a time when you had to like fend for yourself? Yeah. Like you didn't know what food was gonna look like, or like mama and daddy kind of had personalities. We had to walk on eggshells, and so. Are you an independent person because you are just really self-sufficient, or did you kind of like grow that because you had to take care of yourself? And they're like, yes. Yeah. That is? Yeah. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Well.
Or like you had all this trauma, all these crises, or something always happens. We say stuff like, if it ain't one thing,
it's another.
It's another. Lord have mercy. If it ain't one thing, it's not. So, I've had people like, around me, or people that like, I was just waiting to find out something bad about you. I had somebody tell me that. It's like, I just, man, I like this church. I was just waiting for something bad to happen. No, I was just
waiting for
something to come out.
We call that catastrophizing. But nothing happened.
Yeah, like people actually verbalize it and like say like, okay, I'm just waiting for something to break, right?
That's their normal.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that is like, then it becomes a suspicion. Like, well, why is nothing going wrong? Because something's off about
Something
this.
off.
Like something should be going wrong by this point. You're like, nothing's gonna always happen.
And I mean, I know it happened because of what we experienced and all that, but
Yeah.
that a lot of that be up here.
It's always worse in here than it is in. We talk about, okay, well, just tell me what your worst fear is. It's something that's like so out of
far.
You're like, what? I'm gonna get pulled over, and the cops gonna take me to jail because they're gonna find crack and blah blah. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, do you do
Do
crack?
crack?
No.
No.
Do you have some in your car right now? No.
No.
Well, then why do you think? How are they gonna find it? Well, do you?
Yeah.
Then you're like, never mind. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just getting them to say it out loud, and they're like, this actually doesn't make sense. But that rules their life. And so I feel like in sessions, I try to bring people kind of like to reality of like, hey, the world that you're actually living in, it's always worse up here. Like the outcomes of what could happen and what's going to happen, when they talk about it, it's always worst case scenario up here than what's actually happening in real life. Not to say that life isn't bad and it's not tough, but it's always worse in their mind than it actually is in real life.
So, I'm a big, I'm a faith guy, but I'm a big process theology, practical theology. I'm a process dude. So I'm the dude that say pray and this and that, but then go do this.
Faith plus works.
Yeah, go see it there. Go pray for a job, but then go fill out applications.
Both
right? Like
have to happen together.
Resume, right? Right? Like so I'm big on that, and I think this is one of those steps
definitely
that are needed and necessary for us to really take care of ourselves the way we need to. And it's okay to be taken care of, but we also have to take care of ourselves.
For sure.
Right. And that's a big responsibility. I mean, shifting gears and going a little personal, some people I love and respect in some kind of way. I'm helping them financially. And I basically had to say, hey, if your mental matters to me, and if I'm holding your hand through this, and if you can't work on your mental, then I can't pay.
Yeah.
I can't help because I'm not helping you.
Right.
If I'm not helping you to go this route.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a family member now. In any one of my programs or something, I'm big on accountability. So it's like, hey, you got to go through this. If you want help with your driver's license, you want help with it. Okay, you got to come to class. You got to come to this. So I mean, I never thought I would be in that place.
Yeah.
Never thought I would be in that place with a family member to say, hey, want my help? Then I need you to do this. Like my help, and I basically said, my help won't come if you don't go.
Right.
Right? And I never thought I would be in that place.
Was that hard to have that conversation?
The conversation wasn't hard.
Okay.
I just don't know why I never got there before. I should have been did it. Like I should have did it a long time ago. Yeah. So yeah, it was almost like the lights came on.
Yes.
Hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay. Yes. And what that also did is took the pressure off of me and put the responsibility
for sure
on that person. And it was for something that would help them. It was a safe place, counseling, somewhere they had been before. But I said, hey, if you don't, I can't.
Right.
And
not that you won't, you can't, because you obviously love them and care about them.
I can't.
It's not that I
can't.
It's I can't.
And actually, they missed one appointment, and I couldn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're waiting on them to reschedule because I can't. And wow.
You can't want it more than people for themselves.
I just wonder if I had that in my teen years, what or whatever, younger life. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So shifting gears is it gets personal. How can someone encourage someone? It may be somebody that's listening or watching, and they wanna. Oh, hold on. Another caveat that I know we talked about it off air, but another caveat that so different counselor, but I'm signing myself up as well, right?
Yes.
So by the time this airs, I had my first visit or whatever again, and with a new person, but I'm enough time, and I'm
Yes.
like, so I'm putting myself in that process, right? I'm opening myself up. We're not
Yes.
just talking about it. So what are some ways? I'm a big, you know, do it by example
Yes.
type person. But what are some ways you think families or loved ones or holidays coming up? What are some ways you think that we can incorporate this in our communities, churches, whatever, just however you feel about this.
Yes. I think normalizing it just through conversations. If you don't want to avoid the word therapy, I feel like people do better with that than saying go to therapy. Just saying you need to just talk to somebody, get some counsel. Using that word counsel maybe instead of therapy helps kind of take away some of the nervousness around it. Um, Also, when you're just talking to people, to family, somebody's got to be able to say, we talked about this, that I'm not okay. Somebody has to be able to say that. Because I think when families get together, it's like, we can tell if cousin is not okay. Like something is going on, and family talks. We know I found out from so and so, from so and so, from so and so, this thing is happening. Being able to just be like, it's okay that you're not okay. Do you need to talk to somebody? So normalizing it that way, I think takes some of the stigma away. I think that'll be the biggest way to help. And then just knowing what resources, so they're saying that the practicality of it. So let's say that person does say, yes, I do want to talk to somebody. Now what? What are you going to do? How do you get them to that person? They're probably going to need some hand holding. So like, here is the number of a place that you can call. I found somebody, or here's a list of places that you can go to. So being really practical, walking with them, holding their hand through it. And then also, if that person is in therapy or not, talking a lot about boundaries, I think sparks a conversation, and families especially. Yeah. So like someone's wanting to have a certain conversation with you, saying like, that's kind of a boundary I have. I don't really want to talk about it. Boundary? What you mean? What is this whole thing? Like, I'm just saying that for my mental health, starting to use those like those words like mental health, and my therapist, going to a counselor or whatever, that's really something that is an emotional trigger for me. I can't. So hearing those words more kind of will normalize it, make people more familiar with it. It'll be more so like an option of something that they wanted to do. But really, it's just being like, it's just someone that you're going to go and talk to. It's totally okay.
It's totally okay. It's a safe place.
It's a safe place.
I read that book, Boundaries. You ever read that book, Boundaries? It's a book called Boundaries. It's a whole series.
Yes.
With Dr. Henry Townsend.
Okay.
Henry Cloud, and I think it's Mike Townsend or something. I could be tearing the name up.
Townsend sounds familiar.
Yeah. So boundaries in marriage, boundaries with children, boundaries with boundaries, just boundaries. And the whole thing was knowing how to say no and when to say yes, and to take control of your life.
Yes, I like
to preach that about once.
Probably.
I do that series about once a year almost.
And you can have boundaries with yourself.
Absolutely.
As a way of having with yourself is another way to have a good relationship with yourself, because like what things upset you, what's going to take you there.
Triggers. Yeah.
Don't engage.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to benefit you to go here, to look at this, to listen to this? If it's not going to benefit you and that it's a trigger for you, then just don't deal with it. That's you having a good boundary with yourself. That's you not forcing yourself into something that you don't want to do. Like, that's having good boundaries with yourself. Absolutely. Another way to build a good relationship with yourself.
Shifting gears. So how would somebody reach you? How would somebody stay in contact with you if they wanted to utilize your services?
Yes, so I can be found on a couple of different platforms. So where I work is True You Always. So we have a website, trueyoualways.com.
Okay.
There's True, yes, TRUE. Okay. Yes, trueyoualways.com. We have a staff tab, and so like my name is on there. You just click on my name, and then you can request just in the referral form on that page to work with me. So
I don't know why I'm asking this, but is it a virtual format for that? Like,
yes.
Like, can you do like a Zoom or something like
yes,
that?
Yes, it's a virtual platform.
Okay.
Yes,
awesome.
For that. Which telehealth sometimes can be. Some people like it, some people don't. I think it takes away some of the like, oh my gosh, this is making me so nervous, because a lot of people, they do their sessions either like on their phone. So then it kind of just feels like it's just me and you talking like on the phone,
FaceTime.
you know? Yeah. So I think that helps too with telehealth. So on our website, trueyoualways.com, I can be found there. I'm also on Psychology Today. A lot of people kind of go there if they want to find a therapist. They'll just look at Psychology Today. And then also I am on Therapy for Black Girls. It's a directory that's what it sounds like. Black girls who are looking for Black therapists. They just go on therapyforblackgirls.com. They look in their area. I'm in the Brevard County area. And then, or I could be reached via email, which is just my first name, Laketra, Laketra, at trueyoualways.com.
That is amazing. You know, that just helps somebody just, navigating through,
Yes.
Because I'm a local pastor in the community and do things, we have built some relationships with mental health counselors and therapists of that nature, but it's not as big as it should be.
Right. I agree.
And I would like to do a better job of that.
Yes.
So, yeah. So we talked about taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves, having healthy relationships with ourselves. What do you do for fun?
For me, so we talked about before, I have 2 little ones that are 2 and 3.
Okay.
So
they keep you busy.
Talked about that motherhood. It can get real hard to kind of carve out time where somebody's not pulling on you. I need this, I need that crying, So when I can, I like to read, which I feel like is really good now because screen time kind of just cuts out at your attention span. You got to be able to like slow yourself down. So I'm like, I'm gonna actually read a book.
With a book.
I like I like the feel of the book and turn the pages. Something about that I like. I like that whole thing. So reading, and then I love to laugh. So like watching things that make me laugh, talking to people that make me laugh. That is good for me. That fills my cup. So anything with laughing. I love a good game night. Like I'm not competitive.
But you sound like you kind of competitive.
But like taboo is my thing. Like you're not gonna beat me.
Really?
Like
you go hard like
taboo
that?
Is my.
Really?
Yeah, that's my thing.
But you look like you be one of them people like yelling at the people on your team. Like
I just be like, if you don't say something, you look at the card not saying nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
What we doing?
The timer's going down. You can't say anything. Nothing.
Wow.
Like okay, that's fine.
I felt that just now when you said. You see what I'm saying? You was like, what? You ain't gonna say nothing.
Nothing. Like,
say something.
Just anything. We'll work our way back to it. Just say something. We'll work our way around. But yeah, I love a game night. Love anything that makes me laugh. Reading.
Okay.
That's my.
What's your favorite artist?
You mean like?
No, there's no judgment.
You mean like musical artists?
Musical artists. Yeah. There's no judgment here. We flow anywhere from Gates to.
Right.
To
I like.
We flow anywhere from Gates to what's the little short dude's name? What's the short dude? Kirk Franklin. We flow from Kirk, Maverick City, all the way to
everywhere
Gates.
in between.
It's no judgment.
He do too. Kurt do too.
Yeah.
Kurt flow back and forth.
Oh yeah, he float back. Hey, you seen that picture with dude when dude was working out?
Listen, that's what I'm saying. He float back and forth as well. I mean,
big.
Listen, I've never seen him and Plies in the room at the same time.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I've never seen y'all in the room at the same time. We got to figure that part out. But all right. Okay, you're not Plies. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like stuck
you
in.
My friend and don't even know it. You know that? You my buddy.
We friends. I'm kind of stuck in like 90s, 2000s R&B.
Okay.
I don't know none of the whisper. I don't know nobody whisper. The little babies. The
babies and the.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know who the.
And all of that.
I feel like I'm at an age now where anybody's a baby to me. I'd be like, "What's that baby name?"
Yeah.
Little baby.
Yeah. And they call themselves babies now.
Right. So I'm like, okay, little baby. I don't listen.
The baby. Everybody little something now too.
I'm stuck in 90s, 2000s. Like my playlist is like, they're not even singing anymore. Like Avant, Joe, like I'm just stuck in that time.
They doing the fairground festival.
Yeah, Genuine doesn't look exactly the way that he used to.
Did he still dyeing his hair?
I don't know if it's one of those like tape up and you kind of like spray. I don't know what, but that's kind of like where I'm.
Since he did Pony.
Yeah, he did do a fairground kind of thing and he got clowned for because he was trying to still do some of his dance moves, but it's not the same body.
Yeah, it ain't the same.
So it doesn't really work that way. So I'm kind of stuck in that. That's kind of like my vibe.
Okay, that's your 90s, 2000s.
Yes, R&B. Yeah, I'm there.
That was way after like New Edition them. That's old people.
Yeah, but I have some New Edition. I have some mint condition.
Okay,
Like,
so men could
it's
oh,
kind of
Boys
mixed.
to Men? Was it
Yes,
Boys to
boys to men. It's kind of that's mixed in.
Yeah, I seen them live in Vegas. They were good.
Did you?
Oh yeah, they were
Yeah.
real good. They were real good. I thought my wife was gonna leave me. Her and the other lady that was at the thing, they was all down there. I was like, "You married?"
Right. Just remember that it's real life.
Like,
You have to go home with you.
husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day. That's
Yeah,
real life.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
It has been a complete joy
Yes, I enjoyed it as
to
well.
have you with us today
Thank you for having
on the
me.
Takeaway Podcast. Anything you want to ask me before we go? All hearts and minds clear?
Right. Are we understood?
No. That's what they say in the Good Baptist Church. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes.
All hearts and
That's what the
minds
saints
clear.
say. Yes.
You know.
Mhm.
You know.
We're all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I admire your you having this conversation. Your work already in the community, coupled with normalizing this like mental health being like something that you need to also take care of. I think your credibility is gonna open up a lot of doors for people to be like, oh, Pastor Heat, okay, well then I guess I will too. Yeah. People need to kind of be carried in that way. So I appreciate the work you're doing in the community.
That means a lot to me.
Yes.
Thank you. And ditto.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We try one person at a time. We're gonna try.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much.